we should be able to have healthy conversations about how we feel about things in our lives.
Mhm. I totally agree. I think men and women should be able to express themselves, no matter what, because it's human nature. It's healthy for us to be able to get out what's bothering us. Communication is always the key, of course. It will always be the key no matter what. And I think that is important for both to have understanding and listen to one another when they're having a conversation, because a lot of people tend to talk at the same time. I think we need to be more quick to listen and slow to speak, especially women. But I think it goes both ways when you're talking about a relationship. It should be mutual.
Right. So let's deal with this scenario. That it's a good man. He goes to work, and he wants to express himself to his wife, but yet his wife may take it as complaining, because sometimes men just want someone just to hear them, not to give advice, not to get any type of direction, because I just wanted to express to you what's on my heart that I need to get off. And sometimes I think in relationship, women take it as if he's not a leader, because, oh, well, why are you telling me this? You're the man, you should be able to figure it out. No, I'm just expressing to you, how I feel, so that way I won't carry this weight inside of me that I may become a walking time bomb.
Right. Yeah. That's the part of a relationship, is being a team. A relationship is two people coming together to help one another, support one another, love one another, encourage one another. So, I think men get the short end of the stick, when it comes to their emotions. And women, like, we're taught, like men are taught to be, oh, you can't cry, you're supposed to be strong, you're a man. People think a man being strong is what makes a man.
Right.
And that's not necessarily true. So I think women the same way, we're taught to that that man should wine and dine you, make sure you have a man that's going to take care of you and provide, which is, God, even the Bible says a man should provide. But women, we're taught that the relationship is mostly about us when it comes to being married, and a wife, that the man he should cater to the woman's needs, like wine and dine her, even when it comes to taking a woman out on dates, we have this Cinderella mindset that, oh, this man should rescue me. We're taught that that's how relationships should be, so
Right.
when women are from, whether they're little girls, like we was talking about earlier, playing with Barbies,
Right.
and, what Disney movies portray, the princesses and all that, we're taught, like, we're programmed that men should be on hand and foot,
Mm-hmm.
Your knight in shining armor and
Right.
stuff like that.
Right. And that's true. We do have this stigma that men, this I call it the Cinderella complex, where the woman loses the glass slipper, and then the man finds the glass slipper and finds the princess, and they live happily ever after. Well, that's the fairy tale. The reality of it is that, yeah, we are to be together as one man and one wife, and one man and one woman, but it should be it should be a reality.
Right.
It should be understanding, because we have two human beings with two different types of emotions that should be respected on both sides. And when a man is not able to express himself, then he lives in the torment within himself, because he have nowhere to turn to. And that's why a lot of times we find a lot of men, drinking and just doing these devices to cope with what's going on inside, instead of they can just talk to their partner and say, look, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. But the thing is, when I find out when men are honest with women, some women are not able to handle
They
the
can't
honesty.
handle the truth.
Right. It's like, oh, well, like for instance, Be transparent. Like for instance, if a man is in a relationship and you find another woman attractive, the wife may, feel some type of way. Well, why would you look at another woman? In reality, we are human. We have eyes. Not to say that the man lust over the other one, but he's just like, I admired her beauty. That was it. And so we should be able to express those things in a safe space without being accusatorial or without thinking that the husband is trying to, cheat or creep out. No, because when we don't allow men to deal with those situations, those feelings, that I believe it opens the door for infidelity.
Right. Well, I mean, when you talked about expressing a man expressing, how he feel about another man, a woman's beauty. I mean,
Right.
um, I don't see the need of him expressing that to his wife. You know, I think he's better off just having that in his mind that okay, he's there somewhere and he just sees a beautiful woman. He just looks at her and keep it there. But when the man opens his mouth about it, most women are not going to accept that because they're going to feel like if you felt the need to tell me, clearly this woman's on your mind. You found her that attractive, and then women tend to compare, like, oh, she must be prettier than me, and every woman, not most women actually can't handle that. So I know where you're going is saying that men should be able to just speak their mind to, their significant other, be able to say, this is how I feel,
Sure.
this is what I see. But unfortunately, when it comes to a man expressing his thoughts on another woman, I mean, that most women find that inappropriate.
So that's why men don't talk because
Okay.
it's not inappropriate. It's that I'm sharing with you my thought, not that I'm trying to do something different.
Right.
I'm just sharing a thought with you, and just like vice versa, where the wife's like, oh, hey, the man looks good. He's a handsome man, and then that's it. So to me, when that type of communication is open, I think it builds a different type of bond because of trust. Because the
Right.
fact is, you express to your partner that I'm not lusting after the person, I'm not fantasizing about the person, I'm not thinking about being with that person. It's like the person who's attractive, whoever else, like my coworker, like, hey, you know what, this person is not that okay. I found Susie attractive today. No, maybe something happened in the day. The person had a nice dress on. You know, hey, Susie at work had on a nice dress today. It made her look beautiful. There's nothing wrong. To me, it should be nothing wrong with that because you're telling your wife about your day.
Yes, nothing wrong with that. I agree. But, most women are not going to accept that, because even me personally in a relationship, I see nothing wrong with the man expressing whatever he feels, Um, whether I like it or not, I just rather him just tell me how he feels,
Right.
I think, like you said, that a relationship should be a safe place to be able to say how you feel, because if that's how you feel genuinely, I want to know how you feel genuinely.
Right. Right.
And so that is definitely necessary to be able to have the freedom of speech,
Right.
And especially with men, and it can be hypocritical coming from a woman. Oh, they can say whatever they want, but then when the man says it, he speaks the truth, whether it's her weight or anything like that, it's taken different. Oh, how dare you say that or whatever. So it can be pretty biased,
Sure.
in a relationship with women, like very one-sided. The woman has the freedom of speech. She has excuses for why she say things. A man say it, the woman hold it over his head.
Right.
So I truly understand what you're saying, and I agree with you that the relationship should be a safe place for the man to be able to express how he feels.
Right. Exactly. And that's the thing that I believe is missing in today's society when it comes to relationships, because we're not as men free to be expressive unless we're being accused of something.
Mhm.
And I don't understand if you're in a relationship with someone and they want to express to you, just listen. It's not you. You may read more into it than it is, but the man is just trying to I believe some men, for the most part, are trying to build a stronger bond when they're trying to be open and honest with their wife. So it's not to be. I don't think it's to be a competitive mechanism. I don't think it's to make the person jealous, but just, hey, this is how I'm feeling today, and I just want to share that with you. Just like vice versa, men have to be able to deal with when their wives say, hey, the same thing, and not get jealous or not get feel some type of way about themselves when it's not even about them.
Right. Yes, especially for today, we're living in a world where the world is catering to women.
Right.
That's just how I feel personally. It's obvious, to me that the world caters to women, and I think because whether it's abortions, women have a freedom of speech. They should be able to do whatever they want with their body, and if they want to be free spirit and have, sex with anybody, or if it's just the world seems to revolve around a woman and cater to a woman. And that's where I think we've gone wrong in society, is that the world is, Satan wants to remove the male, the leader, the man of strength out the way, and you see that happening,
Right.
And since that's been going on, look at the state of the world.
Right. I mean, yeah. If the enemy can destroy the family, the nucleus of the family, which is the man and a woman, then it makes the family vulnerable, and then it changes the dynamics of what family looks like, because God instituted family as one man and one woman, and then the children. But if the man is removed and there's just the mother in place, then it makes the family a little weaker in a sense of spiritually and physically. So the society that we live in is trying to demasculate men so that the family could never be stable. If the family ever stable, then the country would go in a different direction. The things that we see today would not exist because the family would be the foundational leader of what society should be.
Right. So I do want to touch on, I had said this in a previous video, women regarding, wanting men that are 6 foot and up and make 6 figures. I just want to boycott that. Like, I want to counsel that. Like, I feel like that needs to be done away with, because I feel like, how the world is, the system and everything, it is hard for men to nowadays get the jobs they want. It's not easy for anybody anymore, and then with them replacing AI and all this stuff, it's really tough out there. And women they say they want love, they want a good man and all that, and we talked about it before, but I'm just very serious about that. I can't stress it enough. Like, that needs to be done away with. And I think women need to have an understanding, because, the state of the world, to expect a man, have these expectations for a man is truly unfair. Because if the man felt the same way, oh, you need to be this tall and you need to make this much money, it would be unacceptable,
Right.
Or having preferences for other things, well, I don't want a woman with a fake body, or I don't want, it's taken different when it comes to the woman. That's why I said the world caters to women, because women, it would be wrong if a man felt like a woman had these standards for a woman that was above average.
Right. Well, because I believe that because men and women look for different things in relationships. So men do not, but I believe men do not go in a relationship looking for somebody to provide for them. Men do not go in looking in a relationship for the woman to make 6 figures. I mean, it's great, but in the reality of the fact is, most men who are connected to women, the women may not make 6 figures. They may not be their ideal preference, but it's what they found inside of the woman is what attracted them to. And that's another thing we talk about. We talk about women wanted men 6 feet. I mean, that's a preference. That's all it is. It's like going into the car dealership. Like I prefer, a Ferrari, but my bank account right now doesn't supply that. But that's my preference. But however, if I can afford the Mercedes, then I'll take the Mercedes. So whether the guy is 6 feet, 5'9", 5'5", 5'6", whatever, but does that make the man's character? And that's the most important thing. It's not the height, it's not the physical aspect of the person, but what about the character of the person? Are you not attracted to the character or just the physicality? Because those things change. So you may have the 6 foot man, but then a 6 foot man may turn into a gorilla in the sense of abusive person, not a loving person, but he has to, but you have the height, but not the integrity of the character.
Right. And that's why I think it needs to be done away with, because when we're talking about dating and finding love,
right,
that has to be off the list,
right,
because I think that's why there's so many single women out there, because they have this ideal man and they're saying, okay, it's hard to find a good man. How can you say that
right,
when your standards is about appearance?
Right.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm trying to get women to understand. Like, you can say all day you want a good man, but when it's all said and done, you looking at his physical attributes, right, and what he can give you, right, financially, right, and not that him being the man that's willing to do what it takes, right, to make you happy. But then you got men doing all what it takes to make women happy, and then they're still not satisfied.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Miles Monroe said something very powerful. He says the man or woman that you have in your head does not exist. And that's the thing. I think we build people in our minds that doesn't exist. And so when we build like a woman, we want a woman like this and this figure and this size, and it doesn't exist. So we have to come back to reality and say, okay, does this woman have a good character? Is she lovable? Is she right for me? I mean, you can have all these attributes at any height or any size. But like I said, once again, it comes to when we're stuck in a certain preference, it would makes us overlook good things.
So, as a man yourself, how do you feel about that? Because I'm sure you dated women and stuff like that. And
well, yeah.
How do you feel about, women having that preference? Is it challenging for you as a man? Because I'm sure you guys don't like that. You're probably sick of it as well.
Unfortunately, I mean, it has not, thank God, it has not really been a big challenge, because I've dated taller women in my life, but I've had come in contact with taller women where they like, well, you're a good person, but you're just a little too short for me, because it looked awkward because I'm taller and you're shorter. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm a nice person and I'm a good fit for you, then what difference does it make what people think of how awkward it looks? Because what makes you, if I make you happy and I'm doing the things that make you happy, then who cares if strangers look at us and say, oh, wow, look at that couple there, one is short and one's tall. Okay. But that's not putting food on the table. That's not putting a roof over our heads. That's not paying any bills. That's not adding anything to our life of value. So I don't understand why, one thing I've heard is like, well, what society has stigmatized, that if the man should always be taller than the woman. And that's always been programmed in society, men and women. Is like, okay, wait, I gotta be taller than my girl, But like we watch the show where the ladies wants to be taller than the men so she can look down on the man. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's, to me, is just not the ideal of where people should see themselves in correlation to other people. Not to look down on someone because you're taller than them, but you should work in concert with the person to see if this person is a match for me. And so when we look at shorter men, which I'm not tall, but I'm not that short. So when we look at that and say, okay, well, you're not tall enough. What does that mean? Tall enough to do what? Because if we really look at
Exactly.
it's like there's nothing that the short person can do that the tall person can't
Exactly.
do. We both can do the same thing. So I don't understand that philosophy where it said, well, you're not tall enough.
I mean, besides dunking.
Well, but you know what? There's some short guys that can dunk as well.
Right.
I mean, and believe it or not, I'm one of those at the time in my prime. When I was in high school, I was a dunker, even though I stood 5'6". But here's the thing: dunking is not in height; it's in strengthening your calf muscle. So if you have that muscle to be able to have those hops, then the height is no issue. And so when I hear women like, oh, well, you're not tall enough. Well, I'm trying to understand tall enough for what. So that's the mystery when women themselves don't even know for what. I just want to be tall. I just want to be tall. So
yeah, it's all about it's just the look and how it makes them feel.
Sure.
I personally don't mind a man's height, but truth be told, based on what you said, I can totally agree. And women, they don't give those men a chance.
Sure.
So to say you're a good person, you don't even know that.
Right.
It's just a nice way to say, I don't want to talk to you, period, because you're not tall enough. Simple as that.
Correct.
And that's not fair to me, and I'm a woman myself. I think it's unfair because even women like me that don't care about that,
Sure.
we're all lumped in the same category that, oh, you like every woman want a tall man, because majority of the women, want that.
Right.
And it's not true for every woman. There's, a few out there that don't care about that.
Sure.
And so you find the women that don't care about that, whether like my friend for example, she might settle what they would say settle in, but she's just more open-minded.
Right.
And she decide, well, I don't care about height. And so we look at our friends and we see our friends that don't care about that, they got a man because they're not, their standards are not, ridiculous.
Right.
It's just, I just want a man to love me. And everybody gets to that point at the end of the day, they just want to be loved.
Right. And
they might wait later on in life where they're just like, okay, the height thing's not working for me anymore. But I think it takes women to go through constant relationships because they're focusing on the wrong things, to just constantly relationship to relationship, because you're looking at the wrong things.
Right.
And so when that woman began to look at the right things, most of the time she would end up with the right one.
Right.
And that's the problem. That's where I'm trying to get women to understand, is that you have to be open-minded. It's not about lowering your standards, what they would say, are settling, because that's not settling to me when you're talking about height.
Correct.
Even finances, if he can put a roof over your head, that's all that matters. You got women wanting, oh, I want the house to have a 5-bedroom, 3 baths, and all this stuff. And it's like, you don't even have kids to even be worried about that. Right. Oh, well, when I build that future with him, when I plan to have these kids, but that can come later, you know? And it's all about, to me, material things and what looks good, and I want to flaunt, and it's all about what I want. But it's like, I'm sure there's men that want to give you what you want, but at the moment it's about what matters now. And then that man is like, I'm willing to give you all that in the future, but I need you to rock with me